Please step away from the vehicle now.
Is there a problem?
Where did you get that uniform?
I'm a Navy SEAL. I just came from a ceremony.
You got ID?
Yes, but what am I being detained for?
Hands on the car. Now, don't argue.
Deputy Sheriff Travis Holbrook had been with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for 9 years when he responded to a call that would destroy his life and send him to federal prison for 58 years. He was 34 years old, experienced enough to know better, confident enough to believe his judgment was infallible. One Friday night at a gas station on Highland Avenue, he saw a black man in a Navy uniform and decided it had to be fake. The man was Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, a decorated Navy SEAL with 16 years of service, multiple combat deployments, and medals for extraordinary heroism. What Holbrook did next, ignoring Mitchell's credentials, dismissing his military ID, and arresting a war hero in full-dress uniform, would trigger a Pentagon investigation, federal charges, and a trial that exposed 9 years of documented racial profiling. Holbrook's record told a story San Bernardino County had ignored for nearly a decade. 14 complaints over 9 years. 14. Every single one involved people of color. Every single one followed the same pattern. A black family barbecuing in Glen Helen Regional Park, Holbrook demanded permits, threatened citations when they questioned his authority. A Hispanic teenager skateboarding near Victoria Gardens Mall, detained for 40 minutes, backpacks searched without consent. An Asian businessman photographing architecture downtown, questioned about terrorism surveillance. A black college student driving through Rancho Cucamonga, pulled over for driving suspiciously. Car searched, no contraband found. The complaints were documented. The pattern was obvious. But San Bernardino County treated each incident in isolation, never connecting them into what they clearly formed. A deputy who saw people of color in spaces where his biased mind said they didn't belong. Supervisors noted in his evaluations that Holbrook was results-oriented, but sometimes overzealous in community interactions, that he could benefit from additional de-escalation, training, that he should work on cultural sensitivity. But those notes never became consequences. 3 complaints resulted in written reprimands filed away and forgotten. 4 triggered mandatory retraining sessions Holbrook attended but never internalized. 7 were closed with insufficient evidence, despite witness statements. 0 resulted in suspension, demotion, or termination. So Holbrook kept patrolling, kept stopping, kept assuming, and San Bernardino County kept ignoring the pattern until the night Holbrook targeted someone who couldn't be dismissed, someone whose credentials came with Pentagon backing, someone whose arrest would finally force accountability. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell was 38 years old when Deputy Holbrook decided his Navy uniform must be fake. Mitchell had been a Navy SEAL for 16 years. 16 years of service most people can't comprehend. He joined the Navy at 22, desperate to escape San Bernardino's cycle of poverty and violence that had claimed 3 of his high school friends. Basic training at Great Lakes, then BUD/S, basic underwater demolition, SEAL training, where 80% of candidates quit. Mitchell didn't quit. 6 months of hell, cold water immersions, endless physical torture, sleep deprivation designed to break you. He graduated, earned his trident, the gold pin SEALs wear with pride. Then the real work began. First deployment to Iraq in 2009, Ramadi, clearing buildings, hunting high-value targets, watching teammates take fire. Second deployment to Afghanistan, Helmand Province, 8 months in the mountains, ambushes, IEDs, missions classified even now. Third, deployment back to Iraq, Mosul, the fight against ISIS, operations so intense Mitchell still had nightmares. Syria, Yemen, Somalia, places the American public never heard about, missions that never made the news. In 2016, during an operation in northern Iraq, Mitchell's team was ambushed. 8 SEALs pinned down by heavy machine gun fire, RPGs exploding, teammates wounded. Mitchell, already hit by shrapnel, his leg bleeding, ran into the kill zone 3 times, dragging wounded operators to safety. He held a position alone for 12 minutes while the team evacuated, taking fire from 3 directions, returning fire until his ammunition ran out. All 8 teammates survived. Mitchell earned the Navy Cross, the second highest military decoration for valor, just below the Medal of Honor. The citation described extraordinary heroism under fire and complete disregard for personal safety. He also earned the Purple Heart for his wounds and the Bronze Star with V device for valor in a separate operation. His chest held ribbons most civilians wouldn't recognize, but every service member respected. Combat Action Ribbon, Iraq Campaign Medal with 4 stars, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, NATO Medal, ribbons representing years of sacrifice. That Friday night in October, Mitchell was driving through San Bernardino in his Navy service dress blue uniform, the formal military attire worn for ceremonies and official functions. He'd just come from Naval Base San Diego, a memorial service for a fallen teammate, a brother killed in a training accident. The service had been emotional, exhausting, a reminder of how many friends Mitchell had buried. He was driving to his mother's house to surprise her, hadn't seen her in 8 months, couldn't tell her where he'd been. Classified deployment, dangerous work. He just wanted to hug her, sleep in his childhood bed, pretend for a weekend that the world wasn't burning. At 10:47 p.m., his fuel light came on. He pulled into the Chevron station on Highland Avenue. The Chevron station on Highland Avenue sits at the intersection where San Bernardino's working-class neighborhoods meet the slightly more affluent areas to the north. It's the kind of 24-hour station that serves late-night shift workers, long-haul truckers, and people just passing through. Bright fluorescent lights, 8 pumps, small convenience store with bulletproof glass at the counter. On a Friday night in October, the station was quiet. Just a few cars, people minding their own business, getting gas, and leaving. At 10:47 p.m., Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell pulled his silver Honda Accord into pump number 5. He stepped out, still in his Navy service dress blue uniform. The uniform is unmistakable: dark navy blue jacket with gold buttons, white shirt underneath, black tie, and matching navy trousers. On his left chest, rows of ribbons in precise military alignment, the Navy Cross at the top, its blue and white stripes immediately recognizable to anyone with military knowledge, Purple Heart below that, Bronze Star with the small bronze V device for valor, campaign medals, service ribbons, each one telling a story of deployment, sacrifice, combat. On his right chest, his gold seal trident, the eagle clutching an anchor, trident, and pistol, the pin every SEAL earns after years of training. His shoulder board showed 2.5 gold stripes, the rank insignia of a lieutenant commander, 04, equivalent to an Army major. His military bearing was obvious: the way he stood, shoulders back, head up, the posture drilled into service members through years of training. His shoes were polished. His uniform was immaculate despite the long day. He looked exactly like what he was, a decorated Navy officer in formal military attire. Mitchell swiped his credit card at the pump, selected regular unleaded, and began filling his tank. He was exhausted, emotionally drained from the memorial service, from saying goodbye to another teammate who'd survived combat only to die in a training accident. He was thinking about his mother, about how surprised she'd be to see him, about whether she'd made her famous peach cobbler recently. He wasn't thinking about the person watching him from across the parking lot. Someone who saw his uniform, saw his skin, and decided something must be wrong. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. The call came into San Bernardino County Sheriff's Dispatch at 10:51 p.m., anonymous caller, refusing to provide a name, calling from a cell phone that would later be traced to an apartment complex 3 blocks from the Chevron station. "Hi, I'm calling about a suspicious person at the gas station on Highland Avenue. There's a black guy wearing what looks like a military costume, and he's been standing there for a while. He looks threatening. I think he might be impersonating a service member or something. Can you send someone to check it out?" The dispatcher asked standard questions. "Is the person doing anything threatening? Has he approached anyone? Is he carrying weapons?" "No, but he just looks suspicious." The uniform looks fake. I don't think he's really military. He doesn't look like he should be wearing that." The dispatcher logged the call, suspicious person, possible stolen valor, and sent it out. The call was assigned to Deputy Travis Holbrook, who was patrolling 2 miles away. Holbrook responded immediately. This was exactly the kind of call that activated every bias in his pattern. A black man in a space where Holbrook's assumptions said black men didn't belong, wearing something that seemed too legitimate, too accomplished, too authoritative for Holbrook to accept as real. In Holbrook's mind, the narrative was already written before he arrived. Black guy in military uniform at a gas station late at night, probably homeless, probably mentally ill, probably bought the uniform at a thrift store or online. Stolen valor, impersonating a service member, that's a federal crime. He's going to investigate, probably make an arrest. Another case closed. Holbrook didn't consider that the uniform might be real. He didn't think about calling the base to verify. He didn't wonder why someone impersonating military would wear such an elaborate, expensive, perfectly fitted dress uniform with specific medals and ribbons. He just saw a black man in a military uniform and decided it had to be fake. His bias was so complete, so ingrained after 9 years of targeting people of color without consequences, that evidence didn't matter. His assumptions overrode reality. He pulled into the Chevron station at 10:54 p.m., lights flashing, already approaching this as a criminal matter rather than a welfare check. Mitchell was finishing pumping gas, replacing the nozzle, closing his fuel door, when he saw the patrol car pull in fast, lights swirling red and blue across the concrete. Deputy Holbrook stepped out of his patrol car before it fully stopped, his hand resting on his duty belt near his weapon, his posture aggressive, confrontational. He walked directly toward Mitchell, who was standing next to his Honda, fuel door closed, receipt printing from the pump. Mitchell turned and saw the deputy approaching fast, lights still flashing, and his stomach dropped. He'd been here before, not exactly this situation, but close enough. He knew what was happening. "Step away from the vehicle, hands where I can see them. Now." Mitchell raised his hands slowly, palms out, visible, non-threatening. His voice was calm, controlled, the tone of someone trained to de-escalate tense situations. "Officer, I'm just getting gas. Is there a problem?" Holbrook stopped 3 feet away, his eyes scanning Mitchell up and down, taking in the uniform, the medals, the insignia, and seeing none of it as real. "Military costume isn't funny. You need to take it off right now." Mitchell's heart sank. He'd served 16 years, deployed to combat zones most Americans couldn't find on a map, earned medals for valor under fire, and he was being told his uniform was a costume. He recognized the tone, the assumption, the accusation. This wasn't about the uniform. This was about his skin. "Officer, this isn't a costume. I'm an active duty Navy SEAL. I just came from a memorial service at Naval Base San Diego. I'm on my way to visit my mother." Holbrook's expression didn't change. "Sure you are. Stolen valor is a federal crime. You're impersonating a military officer." Mitchell felt anger rising but kept his voice steady. 16 years of training, of staying calm under pressure, of controlling his reactions when lives depended on it. "Sir, I'm not impersonating anyone. This is my uniform. I earned it. I can show you my military ID, my orders, anything you need to verify." "I don't need to verify anything. I can see what's happening here." Holbrook stepped closer, his voice harder. "You bought that uniform, put on some fake medals, and now you're walking around pretending to be something you're not. It's disrespectful to real service members." Mitchell's jaw tightened. He'd lost friends in Iraq and Afghanistan. He'd held dying teammates. He'd been wounded saving others. And this deputy was telling him he was disrespecting service members. Other customers at the gas station were starting to notice. A man at pump 3 slowed down, watching. A woman inside the convenience store pressed her face against the glass. Should officers verify military credentials before accusing service members? Drop your answer below. Mitchell reached slowly into his jacket pocket, moving deliberately so Holbrook wouldn't misinterpret the action. "Officer, I'm reaching for my military ID." It's in my inside pocket. I'm going to show you my credentials. Keep your hands where I can see them." Holbrook's hand moved closer to his weapon. Mitchell froze, then moved even slower, pulling out his military ID card, the common access card that every service member carries. He held it out. "This is my military ID. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy. My DoD ID number is right here. You can call Naval Base San Diego. You can call NCIS. You can verify everything." Holbrook took the card, glanced at it for maybe 3 seconds, and handed it back. "Anyone can print a fake ID. They sell them online for $20. Mitchell stared at him. The ID had holograms, security features, an embedded chip, the Department of Defense seal. It was as official as an ID could be. "This isn't fake. Look at the security features. Look at the hologram. This is a military common access card. It's impossible to fake convincingly. Looks fake to me." Mitchell pointed to his chest, to the rows of ribbons precisely aligned. "These ribbons, these medals, they're in the correct order according to military regulations. The Navy Cross, Purple Heart, Bronze Star with V device. These represent specific awards. You can verify every one of them. Anyone can buy fake medals online. I've seen it before." Holbrook's voice was flat, dismissive. Mitchell's patience was wearing thin, but he kept trying. "Sir, I'm asking you to make one phone call. Call the Naval Special Warfare Command duty officer. Call NCIS. They can confirm my identity in 5 minutes. I'm not asking you to take my word. I'm asking you to verify through official channels. I don't need to call anyone. I can tell what's real and what's fake." This was the moment where bias became impenetrable. Holbrook had decided before he arrived that Mitchell was impersonating a service member. Every piece of evidence after that, the ID, the uniform, the medals, the calm demeanor, was filtered through that initial assumption. He wasn't looking at a Navy SEAL. He was looking at a criminal trying to deceive him. The gas station security cameras were recording everything from 2 angles, one mounted above the pumps, one above the convenience store entrance. The footage would later show Mitchell standing calmly, hands visible, speaking in controlled tones. It would show Holbrook aggressive, dismissive, refusing to examine the evidence. Other customers were pulling out their phones now. A man at Pump 7 had his camera up, recording. The woman in the store was filming through the glass. Everyone could see what was happening. A black man in military uniform being accused of impersonating a service member despite showing credentials. Mitchell tried one more time. "Officer Holbrook, reading the nameplate, I'm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell. I've served 16 years in the Navy, 12 as a SEAL. I have my military ID, my orders in my car, my leave papers. I'm asking you to verify my credentials before this goes any further." Holbrook's voice turned hard, commanding. "Take off that uniform right now. You're not authorized to wear it. Remove it immediately." Mitchell stared at him, processing what was being demanded. Strip out of his dress uniform at a gas station under fluorescent lights with strangers watching? Remove the uniform he'd earned through blood and sacrifice? "I'm not stripping out of my dress uniform at a gas station, sir. This is my uniform. I'm authorized to wear it. I'm an active duty officer." "That's a direct order. Remove the uniform or I'll remove it for you." Mitchell's voice remained controlled, but the edge was unmistakable. "Officer, what you're demanding is unreasonable and unlawful. I'm not removing my uniform. I've shown you my credentials. I've asked you to verify my identity. You're refusing to do basic due diligence." Holbrook reached for his radio. "Dispatch, this is 3 Adam 1-2. I need backup at the Chevron station on Highland. Suspect is belligerent, refusing lawful orders, possible stolen valor situation." Mitchell's hands were still raised, visible, non-threatening. His voice carried across the parking lot, clear enough for the recording phones to capture. "I am not belligerent. I am not refusing lawful orders. I am a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy, and I'm being unlawfully detained." Holbrook stepped closer, invading Mitchell's space. "You're impersonating a military officer? That's a federal crime under the Stolen Valor Act. You're under arrest." The irony was staggering. Holbrook was accusing Mitchell of stolen valor while about to commit deprivation of rights under color of law, false imprisonment, assault on a military service member, multiple federal felonies that would send Holbrook to prison for decades. But Holbrook couldn't see it. His bias was complete. Mitchell took a slow breath, the kind he'd learned in combat when staying calm meant survival. "Sir, I've served this country for 16 years. I've deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I've been wounded in combat. I've saved lives. I've earned every ribbon on this uniform. I'm not a criminal. I'm asking you one more time to verify my credentials before you make a mistake that destroys your career. Your career is over, buddy. You're going to jail." 2 more patrol cars pulled into the station, lights flashing, sirens winding down. Deputy Maria Santos and Deputy Jeff Coleman stepped out, assessing the situation. A black man in military uniform, hands raised, calm demeanor. Their colleague aggressive, confrontational. Santos exchanged a glance with Coleman. This didn't look right. Santos approached first. "Holbrook, what's the situation? Stolen valor. Subject is impersonating a naval officer, refuses to remove the fake uniform, refuses lawful orders." Santos looked at Mitchell, at the uniform, at the rows of medals that looked expensive, official, precisely arranged. "Sir, can you identify yourself?" Mitchell's voice was steady, professional. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy SEALs. I showed Deputy Holbrook my military ID. I've asked him repeatedly to verify my credentials through Naval Base San Diego, or NCIS. He's refused. This is an unlawful detention." Coleman stepped closer, examining the uniform more carefully. The ribbons were in correct precedence order, Navy Cross at the top, something you couldn't fake without detailed military knowledge. The trident looked authentic, the weight and quality of real gold. The shoulder boards showed proper rank insignia. "Holbrook, did you verify his ID?" "It's fake. Anyone can see that." Santos pulled out her phone. "What base are you assigned to, sir?" "Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, SEAL Team 3. My commanding officer is Captain Raymond Torres. The duty officer tonight should be Lieutenant Hayes. You can call the quarterdeck. They'll confirm my identity in 2 minutes." Santos started to dial. Holbrook grabbed her arm. "We don't need to call. I'm telling you it's fake." Santos pulled her arm away, her expression hardening. "Holbrook, if there's any chance he's legitimate, we verify. That's basic procedure. He's not legitimate. He's black. Look at him. You really think he's a Navy SEAL?" The words hung in the air, captured by multiple phones, recorded by gas station cameras. The implicit bias made explicit. Santos and Coleman both recoiled. Mitchell closed his eyes briefly. There it was. The truth Holbrook had been dancing around, finally said out loud. Coleman's voice dropped low. "Holbrook, what did you just say?" But Holbrook was committed now, too deep to back out. "I'm arresting him. Subject, turn around, hands behind your back." Mitchell made a decision. He could resist, argue, make this physical, or he could comply, document everything, and let the system that Holbrook represented deal with what came next. He turned around, placing his hands behind his back. "I'm complying under protest. I am Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, active duty United States Navy SEAL. This arrest is unlawful. I've committed no crime. I've shown proper identification. I've requested verification through official channels. This is being recorded by multiple witnesses and security cameras." Holbrook pulled out his handcuffs and snapped them on Mitchell's wrists, deliberately tight, the metal cutting into skin. Mitchell winced but said nothing. The handcuffs crushed against his uniform jacket, wrinkling the fabric, pressing the metals into his chest. Santos stood frozen, her phone still in her hand, watching something that felt catastrophically wrong. Coleman's face showed pure horror at what his colleague was doing. Holbrook walked Mitchell toward his patrol car, one hand gripping Mitchell's arm, the other on his duty belt. Mitchell's dress shoes scraped across the concrete. His uniform, immaculate 10 minutes ago, was now wrinkled, disheveled. The ribbons sat askew. His tie was pulled to one side. A decorated war hero, A man who'd earned the Navy Cross for extraordinary heroism, being perp-walked across a gas station parking lot like a common criminal. The customers at the gas station erupted. "He's really in the military. We saw his ID. Check his credentials. Call the base. This is wrong. He didn't do anything. Officer, you're making a mistake. He showed you his ID." Holbrook ignored them all. Several onlookers had called 911, but the dispatcher said deputies were already on scene. Others felt powerless to intervene with an armed officer. Santos and Coleman stood by their cars, uncertain, conflicted, watching their colleague commit a federal crime. Why do some officers see black men in uniform and assume it's fake? Comment your thoughts. The drive to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Station took 11 minutes. Mitchell sat in the back of Holbrook's patrol car, hands cuffed behind him, the metal digging into his wrists. The partition separated him from Holbrook, who drove in silence, probably already writing his arrest report in his head, convinced he'd done good police work. Mitchell stared out the window at the streets he'd grown up on, the neighborhoods he'd escaped through military service, now being driven through them in handcuffs. They arrived at the station at 11:19 p.m. Holbrook pulled into the Sallyport, the secure garage where prisoners are brought in, away from public view. He opened the back door and pulled Mitchell out, walking him through the metal door into the booking area. The booking sergeant on duty was Luis Moreno, a 19-year veteran who'd seen everything, or thought he had. He looked up from his computer as Holbrook walked Mitchell in and froze. A man in Navy service dress blues, full uniform, rows of ribbons on his chest, the Navy Cross visible at the top, gold trident on his lapel, hands cuffed behind his back. Moreno stood up slowly. "Holbrook, what the hell did you arrest?" "Stolen valor. Subject was at a gas station impersonating a naval officer, wearing a fake uniform, fake medals. Refused to remove the uniform when ordered. Refused lawful commands. I'm booking him for impersonating a military officer under federal statute." Moreno walked around his desk, approaching Mitchell, examining the uniform more closely. The ribbons were in perfect order, arranged according to military precedence regulations. The Navy Cross, Navy and Marine Corps Medal, Purple Heart, Bronze Star with the small V device, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Service Commendation Medal, campaign ribbons from Iraq and Afghanistan. The uniform fit perfectly, tailored, expensive. The shoes were polished to a mirror shine. The trident looked like real gold, not costume jewelry. "Sir, what's your name?" "Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, United States Navy, serial number N4378921. I showed Deputy Holbrook my military ID. I asked him to verify my credentials. He refused." Mitchell's voice was calm but carried the exhaustion of someone who'd been fighting an absurd battle for the past 30 minutes. Moreno held out his hand. "Can I see your ID?" Mitchell nodded toward his jacket pocket. "Inside left pocket." Moreno carefully reached into Mitchell's pocket and pulled out the common access card. He examined it under the bright booking area lights. Hologram intact, embedded security chip visible, Department of Defense seal embossed. Photo matched the man standing in front of him. The ID showed rank, Lieutenant Commander 04, Branch of Service, United States Navy, expiration date 18 months from now. Moreno turned to Holbrook. "This looks real. It's fake. Anyone can print those." Moreno had seen fake military IDs before. They were usually obviously counterfeit, printed on regular cardstock, no security features, wrong fonts. This wasn't that. This had weight, texture, multiple security layers. "Holbrook, this has an RFID chip. You can't fake that." He walked back to his desk and picked up his phone. "What base are you assigned to, Commander?" "Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, SEAL Team 3. Moreno dialed the number for NAB Coronado Quarterdeck, the 24-hour duty station. It rang twice. "Quarterdeck, Petty Officer Hayes speaking. This is a non-secure line. This is Sergeant Moreno, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. I need to verify the identity of someone claiming to be one of your personnel. Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell says he's assigned to SEAL Team 3. There was a pause, the sound of typing. "Stand by, Sergeant." The wait felt like forever, but lasted maybe 90 seconds. Hayes came back on the line, his voice more formal. "Sergeant, I can confirm Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell is an active duty officer assigned to Naval Special Warfare Group 1, SEAL Team 3. What's the nature of your inquiry?" Moreno's face went white. "He's been arrested." "Arrested? For what?" "Hold on." Moreno looked at Holbrook, then at Mitchell, then back at Holbrook. "He's real. He's an active duty SEAL Team 3 officer. You arrested a Navy SEAL." Within 6 minutes of that phone call, the situation escalated beyond anything San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department had ever handled. Petty Officer Hayes immediately notified his officer of the deck. The OOD notified the command duty officer. The CDO notified the SEAL Team 3 commanding officer, Captain Raymond Torres, at his home. Torres, knowing Mitchell had been at a memorial service that evening and was heading to visit family, immediately understood something had gone catastrophically wrong. At 11:31 p.m., Torres called the Naval Criminal Investigative Service duty officer in San Diego. "This is Captain Torres, SEAL Team 3. One of my officers, Lieutenant Commander Darius Mitchell, has been arrested by San Bernardino County Sheriff. I need NCIS involved immediately." The NCIS agent, Special Agent Kellerman, pulled up Mitchell's service record on his computer as Torres spoke. Combat deployments, Navy Cross, Purple Heart, active security clearance, 0 disciplinary issues. "Captain, what are the charges?" "Unknown, but he was in dress blues heading to visit his mother. Whatever happened, this needs federal attention. NCIS notified Naval Special Warfare Command Headquarters. NSW Command has a direct line to the Pentagon for situations involving special operations personnel." By 11:47 p.m., the duty officer at the Pentagon's Naval Operations Center was briefed. A Navy SEAL, decorated combat veteran, arrested in California under unclear circumstances. This wasn't a local matter anymore. At 12:03 a.m., Navy JAG, Judge Advocate General's Corps, attorneys at Naval Base San Diego were activated. 2 senior military lawyers began preparing to drive to San Bernardino. Pentagon public affairs officers were notified, preparing for what could become a national story. At 12:15 a.m., Captain Torres personally called Sheriff Robert Decker at home. Decker, roused from sleep, listened as Torres explained, with barely controlled anger, that one of his officers, a decorated SEAL with 16 years of exemplary service, had been arrested at a gas station for wearing his uniform. "Sheriff, Lieutenant Commander Mitchell holds a top-secret, sensitive compartmented information clearance. He's been on classified deployments. He's earned the Navy Cross for extraordinary heroism, and one of your deputies arrested him for stolen valor. I have Navy JAG en route. I have NCIS involved. And I'm about to notify the Secretary of the Navy that one of my SEALs was arrested for being black in uniform." Decker's blood went cold. He immediately called the station, demanded the watch commander brief him. The watch commander pulled the booking information, saw Mitchell's name, saw the charges, saw that Sergeant Moreno had already verified Mitchell's military status. Decker arrived at the station by 12:40 a.m., still in civilian clothes, his face showing the horror of someone who just realized his department had committed an unthinkable error. He walked into the booking area where Mitchell still stood, hands now uncuffed, uniform wrinkled, but dignity intact. "Commander Mitchell, I'm Sheriff Decker. I cannot adequately apologize for what's happened. You're being released immediately. All charges are dropped." Mitchell's voice was quiet, controlled. "Sheriff, your deputy arrested a decorated military officer at a gas station for wearing his uniform. He refused to verify my credentials. He demanded I strip out of my dress blues in public. He handcuffed me in front of witnesses. This isn't something an apology fixes." Decker nodded, his face pale. "I understand, sir. We'll conduct a full investigation." "The Pentagon is already conducting their investigation, Sheriff. This is out of your hands now." While Mitchell stood in the booking area waiting for the sheriff to process his release, His complete service record was being pulled up on computer screens from San Diego to Washington, D.C. Every deployment, every mission, every award, every evaluation was being reviewed by Navy leadership, NCIS investigators, Pentagon officials, and within hours, the U.S. Attorney's Office. The record painted a picture that made Holbrook's arrest not just wrong but obscene. Darius Mitchell had enlisted in the Navy at 22 years old, scored high enough on the ASVAB to qualify for any rating, chose to attempt BUD-S training. He'd survived Hell Week, the infamous 5.5 days of continuous training with maximum 4 hours of sleep total. He'd survived the pool competency tests where instructors tried to drown you to test your calm under pressure. He'd survived the cold, the pain, the instructors designed to break you. 78% of his class quit. Mitchell graduated, earned his trident, became a Navy SEAL. First deployment came in 2009. Iraq, Ramadi, and Fallujah. Clearing buildings, hunting high-value targets, combat operations that lasted months. Second deployment, Afghanistan, Helmand Province, 2011. Hunting Taliban commanders in the mountains. 8 months of firefights and IED threats. Third deployment, back to Iraq in 2014, Mosul, fighting ISIS, operations so intense the casualty rate for his platoon was 40%. Fourth deployment, Syria, 2016, classified operations against ISIS leadership. Fifth deployment, Yemen, 2018, counter-terrorism missions the American public never heard about. Sixth deployment, back to Afghanistan, 2019, training Afghan special forces while conducting direct action missions. 6 combat deployments over 12 years as a SEAL. Most Americans serve 1 deployment their entire career. Mitchell had 6. In 2016, during an operation outside Mosul, Mitchell's 8-man SEAL team was ambushed while securing a compound. Heavy machine gun fire from 3 directions, RPGs exploding, walls collapsing. 2 teammates were hit immediately, wounded, unable to move. Mitchell, already hit by shrapnel in his left leg, bleeding, his uniform soaked with blood, ran into the kill zone. He dragged the first wounded SEAL to cover, 40 yards under continuous fire. Ran back into the kill zone for the second. Then a third teammate was hit. Mitchell went back again. He held a defensive position alone for 12 minutes while the team called for air support and evacuated the wounded. He fired his M4 until the magazine